Welcome, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. We're going to get started over here in just a minute. While people are kind of filing in, can you just drop in the chat? Are you using Asset Map? Are you using fpPathfinder? We just want to get a sense of what advisors are using for tools. All right, so far it's coming in mixed. Oh, it's all over the place. Oh, this is great. A little fpPathfinder, a little Asset Map, a little both, and a little none. All right. All right,
Is it okay
everybody.
if I say that I'm using both? I mean, that's like just legit, isn't it?
Yeah,
I do use
using
both. We
both.
gotta like, buy what we use what we cook, right?
Well, we do.
Eat
Yeah,
what we
I
cook.
eat what we cook. Um,
Eat what we cook or kill. I don't know. I don't kill
I,
much things these days. I do cook a lot anyway.
oh, that's good.
Yeah, just let you know.
All right, give it one more minute here. Everybody that's just come on, just drop in the chat. Are you using fpPathfinder or Asset Map, or are you using one or the other, or none?
I would love to know actually, Michael, also, are people marketing? Like who's are you
Mm,
marketing? If you could just write that too. Because we're finding so many people are actually just they don't have an actual strategy for generating new leads and therefore organic growth. They're really relying on the normal way. So you're
that's
going to
right.
learn some fantastic things. Jason's has really been kind enough to share this stuff today. So we're
Yeah.
excited for you to see it.
All right.
So
Well, thanks.
marketing means you're doing marketing, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, there's marketing or not marketing.
Yes.
All right. Uh, so I want to thank everybody for coming to today's webinar. We're really going to jump into a lot about how to use this in your marketing efforts. This is being Asset Map and fpPathfinder. And I'm pumped because we've got Adam from Asset Map and we've got Jason Hamilton, who's going to really pull back the curtains and show us what he's doing over at his firm for marketing. So housekeeping, we got some slides. We're going to be sharing those out afterwards. And this message this whole thing is being recorded and we will send that out afterwards as well. Probably more that I'll have to cover, but I'll get to that later. So let's see, for people that are unfamiliar with Asset Map, what are you guys doing over there, Adam?
I think we're having a lot of fun, Michael. So I have to answer it that way. Asset Map actually comes out of my own practice. As many of you know, it's 26 years as a recovering financial planner. So thank you. I still keep my CFP, mostly because I love the business, built a practice and built it around this concept of asset mapping that clients really just want to see their entire life on one page. Believe it or not, this keeps coming up prolific. As much as we've built the platform out to do so many things from priorities to quick modeling to 30-second financial planning, people just love their asset map, effectively a treasure map. And we use it as an engagement tool, Michael. And as you know very well, basically to find other opportunity and to apply what I argue is the next wave of AI is the original AI, advisor intelligence, and how we all apply that to clients' lives in real time. So that's really what we're focusing on, is how do we get to an engaging conversation in our highest revenue producing time, which is with the client. So I'm excited to hear how Jason is doing great, creating ways to actually
Yeah,
monetize that. How
that's
about
awesome.
yourself?
So I'm the co-founder of fpPathfinder, and I'm also a financial advisor. And just like you, this was all born out of my own frustrations.
Yeah.
Uh, so we make checklists, flowcharts, and summary guides to help advisors have better planning conversations with their clients. And the way that we're seeing advisors use that more and more in their life, they're sending it to clients in response to a client question. They're trying to open up conversations beyond just investment performance. And we also see a lot of advisors using our guides as touch points in a client service calendar. They're trying to scale their financial planning efforts. But what makes today's conversation really interesting is that there's a growing group of advisors that are using us in their marketing efforts, and it plays a pretty key role for them in a couple of different avenues. And so I I don't need to share anything else. I want to turn it over to Jason and have Jason share a little bit more about his firm, what he's doing, and how he's using these two tools to get new business. So Jason, I'm going to turn it over to you. Just like level set expectations for folks. Like, how big is your firm? Are you broker dealer, RIA? Do you have another advisor? Like, what's the structure look like? And then what's a typical client look like for you?
Yeah, sure. So thanks everybody for joining. It means a lot that so many people showed up. I'm really excited to share with you today. So to kind of level set, I actually just got my 10-year jacket. I joined XYPN about 10 years ago to start my firm as a career changer. I knew nothing about marketing. I knew nothing about the business, but my parents were taken advantage of by someone calling themselves a financial advisor, who was really an insurance agent, sold them 4 whole life insurance policies. They were putting about $1,500 in for over 12 years prior to 2008. And when 2008 showed up, they just didn't have the capital they should have to be able to make it through that storm. And going back and look at some of the numbers, knowing what I know today, they probably should have had $300,000 to $500,000, but they had about $65,000 in their multiple whole life insurance policies. And the agent had them putting $50 in a Roth IRA into a bond fund. That was their investment plan, right? So for me, I became like obsessed. Once I get on something, I get on it, and I really like to learn everything about it. So I read like 100 books about personal finance, and in one of the books or blogs somewhere, I saw a comment about, hey, should I hire a CFP? And I was like, what the heck is a CFP? I never heard of that before ever. I came from single mom, 4 kids. We had a business. They bought a house, but we were not investors. That just wasn't our background. I didn't come from wealth or anything like that. And so I looked up the program, and I was like, oh, this looks like about what I'm reading. Took the first class, fell in love with it, and said, hey, I got to find a way to make a career change. So I was working at CarMax, really in the credit section. I was looking at thousands of credit applications. I was in the sales management department. So I saw how the people interact with money. And you would see people that are like what we call new money, making $300,000, but with mediocre credit, no money down. And then you'd see that family just was really good with handling their finances. They may not have made a lot, but they had 30% down and perfect credit. And I just really got into the world of seeing how humans interact with money. So I said, hey, let me learn about this. Found out I can make a career change. Found XYPN because I interviewed at a couple places that it just wasn't for me. I wanted to get out of a fluorescent ceiling, small room type of thing and say, let me just start my own firm. So launched with XYPN, I knew nothing, made no money for like 2 years because I just didn't know what to do. And I started slowly and I didn't learn about marketing. And I paid a lot of money for a digital marketing program, and a lot of it worked. And a lot of it I had to change for our industry, which is some things we'll talk about today. But after I got into that program and I learned how to do this right, I went from like 0 to $250,000 of revenue in about a year and a half-ish, 2 years, something like that. And then I kind of doubled that within the next year. And then it was just, I had some life things that go on. And then I hired somebody, was on for 2 years, then just realized like I want to be a solo firm with like a small team. That's kind of where I'm really happy
Okay.
with right now with a small baby. So a little over
And,
60
and
million of assets.
so you're connected with XYPN, so RIA, and you run it basically yourself.
Yeah,
Your
REA,
firm,
I have a
awesome,
full-time operations person. I have 2 part-time planners I lean on if I need extra assistance, and I have a compliance person and a media person.
awesome.
Okay. So a little over 60 million AUM, fully virtual. I might go to 1 meeting a month or something in the office, and about 100K plus in retainer revenue that just comes in from just straight financial planning. And I usually take around 3 months off, 6 months off a year. I have a very flexible schedule. For me, I'm optimizing for time with my baby and my family right now. And if I want to grow later, I can. But the systems I'm going to show you today allow me just to turn them on. And if I want leads to bring in new clients, it's just kind of a really nice system to make that work. So
Yeah, that's great. So I know you got some slides. So I think why don't you put up some things there and start to show
okay.
us what you're doing over here.
Yeah. So, and again, the level set, this is, in my view, is going to be a marketing presentation, right? So I'm going to talk about marketing, show you how to market well, using tools like fpPathfinder and Asset Map to make your life really easy. So you could literally have this up and running in a couple hours versus having to start from 0. Okay. So I used to create all my own stuff, and it's great to do that. But there's so many numbers, and with the amount of guides you have in fpPathfinder and the tools like Asset Map that make it really easy just to have a very abundant conversation in that first meeting, I just think that's the way to go. And that's why we're here today. I really do believe in these tools, and I've been using for years, actually since about 2021 or so, and I've just stayed pretty consistent with them. So what we're calling this today is From Leads to Lasting Plans, Elevating Client Engagement. And I want to walk you through one idea of a marketing funnel that's worked really well for me. Okay. And as Adam mentioned, AI is a really big subject in our world right now. And so AI is going to take over all the stuff that humans can't do. So what does that mean? Blogs, social media posts, even videos that can be done by AI. But the funnel I'm going to show you today is something that if you can build a community that's around you and your brand and you as the advisor intelligence, as Adam likes to say, you're pretty much going to set yourself apart from almost everybody else out there. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to create a community, how to use these tools to generate leads and convert them into paying clients. So the tool and the funnel we're going to talk about today is creating a Facebook group and then providing a free guide. And fpPathfinder is one I've been using since 2021. It works great, and I have a lot of people that download that. And then how do we create engagement? How do we generate leads? And then once we get leads to sign up on our calendar, how do we convert them? And Asset Map, along with fpPathfinder, are two great tools I use to have great conversations with prospective clients. So one thing people always ask me is, what do I need to do with Facebook? Because it might be new. Okay, so I'd like to touch on this. So if you're not on Facebook, well, you need to get on Facebook, have a profile. And for your business, you will need to have a business page, right? So that's strictly for your business. That's a public-facing page where you can share content, showcase your expertise. And then a Facebook group is like a private community where you can engage more intimately with prospective clients and really create something special inside there that they can only get inside of your group. So I really like the Facebook group because you have to join, and then they can join and maybe give you their email. You can provide a little course in there, but you get to be the leader of this community, and it becomes kind of your own pond to fish in, that it's not a public area that everybody else can get access to. It really creates something very exclusive. So I have one called Your Retirement Coach, and I really encourage people to ask questions, engage in there, and I do free trainings and provide a lot of valuable content when they come in. So I'm going to talk to you about that. One common myth I get quite a bit is, but my ideal clients are not on Facebook. Wealthy people are not on Facebook. I can assure you, I've had over 1,000 prospect calls. The average net worth, or the average investable assets, I should say, people that do book calls with me is around 1.2 million. I get a lot around 800. I've had many over 5 million or 10 million. Not as many over 5 million, but to be honest with you, around that 1.2 is very, very consistent for me. I've been doing this for 7 years, so 2017 until now, so almost 8 years at this point. Over 2 billion users log in per day in Facebook. Instagram is part of the community. That's Meta. Over 500 million active users daily and 2 billion each month. So I can tell you for sure your clients are on there. The key is how you reach them. So I'm encouraging you to build a very niche community. That's something that you have a specialty in, right? Something that you can just provide a lot of value that someone else can't. And again, if you want to have a general community, you can. Mine's pretty general, it's retirement, but I've been doing this for 7 years, right? So I have a pretty big community. I would recommend you do something very specific. So stock options, veterinarians, doctors, just do something for a really small group. And with a very small group, you can do conversions and make, easily 6 figures a year out of this group if you do it right. So why groups work, you get to control your exclusive pond. It creates authentic relationships because you're in there, you're commenting, you're sharing knowledge, you're doing trainings. They see your face over and over. So I like to call it the Wizard of Oz effect, where you're just up there, and simply by showing up on video or putting videos in there or creating content consistently, it's going to make you look as the group expert there. And the process, which we're going to go into in more detail, is pretty straightforward. Okay, Facebook shares your group for free and to people that are scrolling through that might be interested in it. So you can get a lot of free leads there. I get somewhere usually between 5 to 25, sometimes up to 50, a day, depending on what's going on. And once they join, they come in and then they're going to answer questions, right? And so you have some membership questions that you can answer. I'm going to show you exactly what mine are. This is a full giveaway today. So I really hope this is something you can actually implement, full giveaway. And then you can set up an automation to then deliver a lead magnet that you offer, which I like to use the fpPathfinder key numbers tool, important numbers tool. And then you're going to deliver that fpPathfinder guide, and that's going to provide value up front. And then I have an email sequence that teaches them how to use the guide and then offers them to book a call. So I'm going to walk through this, but I'm going to pause for any questions or comments at this point, you guys.
No, I'm feeling pretty good here.
Good. Okay. So Facebook Live.
Jason, are you going to show the actual guide at some point in this slide deck so
Yes,
that people,
yes, yes,
okay,
yes.
fantastic.
I'm
Yeah, 'cause I
going to
think
show
a lot of people,
everything exactly what I do. Yeah.
now lead magnet is a very interesting term, and and I hope everybody's thinking about what that really means, because it took me a while to kind of really understand that. So when we're talking about lead magnets, everybody, we're saying things that are going to attract the ideal customer persona that you want based upon something that's attractive to them. So what are their pain? You need to know what your customer pain points. And I think Michael and fpPathfinder has done a fantastic job of creating so many guides that our end consumers really want, right? How to deal, what are the questions to ask when you're dealing with an estate, or what are some tax rates? Like, there's so many pieces in here that could be used in this way that are branded. So I'm excited to see how you did it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why I recommend just using one of these tools, because you can just try a lot of different things to see what works instead of creating it all yourself. So I do recommend using a tool called Facebook Live, where you actually go live inside the group. You do trainings and coachings. This is not a whole training about this, but I do have information about that. People are more interested. But by going live, you're just being authentic. I stutter, I make mistakes, I say things inappropriately, but that's what makes things real. And when you're talking about AI coming in, everything's so perfect that it's like people are craving real human engagement. And I get this question a lot too, as well, Jason, what if I look weird on camera? What if I have a gap in my teeth? What if I don't know, have red hair, whatever it may be? Well, all those people with gaps in their teeth and red hair that are weird and look like you are all looking for somebody to follow. And for most of the people here, my target's really that small RAA, maybe 1 to 5 people at the most. And we want our niche group of people that we just really want to serve. This is really not for like the massive REA firm. That's not what I'm targeting this towards. So be weird, be yourself, and just be fully open. And Facebook Live is a tool to really help you do that. And so again, what I did to start, and this is my strategy, is if you're going to start a group, I did a weekly live every Sunday at 2 p.m. for 2.5 years straight. I did 50 out of 52 weeks. I did take 2 weeks off each year around Christmas time and 4th of July, because that's my vacation time. But by doing this, one, you're going to become a better public speaker. You're going to show up consistently, which builds, that relationship with the prospects. You're delivering massive value, sharing your knowledge. And then it's going to give you the video. If you record it, you can take that video and just toss it to somebody like a VA and have them repurpose the content and turn those recordings into those small little reels and TikTok clips, Facebook posts, short shareable videos. And it becomes your machine that you can have all your content from. And all you need to do is maybe a 20-minute video once a week, and just pick a same time every week. And I say create your own TV show. So make it so where people know what time to show up consistently every week. And that just blew up everything from where I got too busy. I couldn't even handle it anymore. And I really had to just like slow everything down.
So Jason, with Facebook Live, how do you handle the compliance issues that come with that?
What compliance issue would you be concerned about?
Well, I'm getting some questions over here about retention requirements, uh, archiving it. Like how do you approach that there?
Yeah, very simple. So remember how I recommend you have a Facebook business page, right? The Facebook business page is archivable through any of the major archivers, through XY or whatever the other ones are that
Yes.
are out there.
Yep.
So you just do your live there and you just share it to the group, or you can use another tool called Ecamm Live, which is one I like if you're a Mac user, and then that will connect to the group and that will record it and you can archive it in a file somewhere if you just want to do it that way.
Okay. So you just have a regular archiving software connected to Facebook and that takes care of it for you. Cool.
That's it. Simple.
Yeah, I think there's another thing in there. For those of you that have have certain like allergies related to the word Facebook and so forth, I think the real key here is to recognize, and Jason's going to show what is he doing that is modifiable into your own worlds and where you do feel comfortable. So I would encourage everybody not to get hung up on this has to and only works in this environment. You're going to see this and see how he's doing this, and you could do light versions of this, you could do extreme versions. But that's just, it's a no. It's what you're hearing is how successful Jason has been in a space where a lot of people ignored it. And as a result, he's really winning. So I think that's a great takeaway. So sorry, Jason.
Yeah, no problem. If you don't want to do that yet, you can also just, if you're a good writer, that's something you can do. You can write really nice posts that are very, helpful for people. So whatever your skill set is, just start with that and build. But the key is to start with value, help people understand their situation, and show that you're an expert that understands their problems better than they do themselves. Okay. And if you're going to be a writer or even make videos, there's a formula I like to recommend. It's called problem, agitate, solve. And this is an old copywriting formula that they use in advertising, where if you just figure out a problem your ideal clients have, you just make a post or a video about that saying, hey, what do I do with an inherited traditional IRA? Which I'm saying that on purpose because I have one that came up recently like that. Hey, you know what? I have a guide for you that I can help you with a workflow on that. You can post that guide to the group and then write a little blurb on it to say, hey, here's how you use it. And if you need more help, book a call with me because I'm happy to help you discuss further if you need that. And this is exactly what I do. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do that. So, but starting with these tools, and we're here with fpPathfinder and Asset Map today. So are there other tools you can use? Absolutely. Okay. But if you're already a subscriber here, which I think most people are, just start simple, right? And this guide that I use here, the important numbers guide, I've been using this guide since 2021 as a giveaway, and it has been extremely successful. It allows me every year to re-engage everybody on my email list and in my group who didn't engage, because what happens every year? We get new numbers. This has tax brackets. This has capital gains brackets. This has IRMA penalty income ranges. It has Social Security income. It has a lot of different things that almost this tool could probably have 5 or 7 different trainings on if you really want to dig in. So my whole thing is keep it simple. So just don't overcomplicate it. Start with something that's useful. Dig in a little bit on it, show your expertise. And if someone has that problem that you're dealing with, they will book a call with you if you put your link in there. And that's the whole strategy. So this one I really like. And then this is an example of asset map. So for those that aren't asset map users, I wanted to put an example of what an asset map looks like on here. And I do use other tools like Write Capital for deeper analysis and other things like that. But asset map to this day has been one of the most, you can say, well-accepted tools by clients. They really love it. And before every meeting we send this out about 4 weeks in advance, ask for any updates that we don't have anything connected to for accounts. And clients just love to see it all on one page versus a super long 8-page report I might get from Write Capital. And I'm just being real with you guys because I know how these things are. And so I will talk through how I use this, and I have some examples, some templates and things we can go through if we get to that. Okay, another essential tool here, okay, to make this work, you will have to subscribe to a tool called Group Funnels. I think it's like $30 a month at this point. They do lifetime deals every so often. So I did a lifetime deal many years ago. But this tool is kind of that intermediary between Facebook groups and your email list. Okay. So Group Funnels is a tool that when they log in, and I'm going to show you the questions that you put in, but people will answer 3 questions or so, whatever questions you want to put. And the last question is, hey, put in your email to get my free guide. And once they do that, Group Funnels is a tool that's going to take that email, it's going to move it over to a Google Sheet. So then you can start building a list of all your emails and all the questions that are answered. And then you're going to set up a Zap through Zapier, which will go from your Google Sheet to your email list. So if you're not familiar with this stuff, it really is simple, but that's the process. And this is not a technical training today, and I'm happy to talk further about it, but that's all you really need to do. And then it's all automated. Okay. So I'm going to show my process on how I go through that. Okay. So you want to integrate emails with this strategy because Facebook, in reality, that's not your platform, right? You don't own Facebook. So all these people are coming in. I have, it says 20,000, but it said that since around 2020. I have a very old group that didn't update with the new update. So I probably have 50 or 60,000 people that are in there. I don't know the real number, but it's at least 20,000. Let's just say that conservatively. But when they come in, I don't have all that information that I own. So by offering guides, by offering downloads, I'm able to capture those emails, which then builds my email list, which allows me to then own that lead outside of Facebook. So if the inevitable ever happens and Facebook kicks me off or they shut down and go out of business, I'm not left high and dry. I have an email list I continue to communicate, and there'll be some platform somewhere, right? And if you can do the same strategy on LinkedIn if you want to do that. Again, I'm a Facebook guy because I think Facebook has the best tools, but these are things where you want to create a community, capture the information, and get it to your list somehow. Okay. So you capture the emails with Group Funnels from the Facebook group. Use Zapier to send to specialized email lists. So every lead magnet you have should have a special little follow-up that's very designed to that to teach them about it more, be very specific on what they're doing, and lead them through a customer journey or a prospect journey. And then you nurture that relationship through other emails you send weekly, your client newsletter, prospect newsletter, and other tools that may be useful. I'm going to show you my process as well, exactly how I do this. So what does this look like? You want to do Facebook Live sessions. At the end of the Facebook Live session, offer a guide, offer a call to book, put your link in there for your calendar page, your Calendly, your schedule once. activate group discussions, right? So by asking questions in the group and getting people to engage, by having other people ask questions and then you can answer them, you can really create a world of that you're just helping people because you're just giving away information. And then what happens is they'll click on your profile and maybe reach out to you if you put your website on your profile. Email nurture sequence and that lead magnet delivery. So you want to have a seamless delivery through some tool like MailerLite or MailChimp or something like that that provides these visuals and these offers. Okay. So here's the membership questions. Adam asked me, hey, people want to see exactly what it looks like. They want to see your pages, your landing pages. So I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like when people come in. So when someone comes in through Facebook, they come in through from Earth somewhere. That's 2 billion people that Facebook is showing your stuff to. They're going to come in. When they join, these are optional questions. Okay, they don't have to answer them. They can still join. They request to join. But if they answer them, now they can get that valuable deliverable from you. So the first question I always ask is, this is a retirement group. So I say, what is your number one question about planning for retirement? So whatever that question is, that also gets added to that Google Sheet list. So anytime I need content, if I can't think of ideas, I go to my Google Sheet list and I have thousands of questions people ask there to create content. It's basically unlimited at that point. And then I ask them to promise to read and, do the group rules because I have no politics, no complaining, no treating people badly, stuff like that, normal stuff. And then question 3 is what we're talking about today is I have this question here to enter their email to receive the free 2025 Key Retirement and Financial Numbers Guide. That's my fpPathfinder guide. And I tell them what they're going to get. This will give you all the information you need about tax brackets, retirement accounts, RMDs, and more. So again, I've tried different things. This has been a good converter for me, the way I explain it here. And that's pretty much it. Okay. And then once they log in, they're going to get a branded guide that looks like this. So this is my pitch to upgrade to fpPathfinder's, I think it's a premium membership, but you can put in your branded colors. You can put in all your information here. So immediately they're finding about me, my firm, where I'm at, my website, all delivered to the inbox on that valuable downloadable guide that they have.
And just to clarify, it's deluxe and premier membership where you can white label the guides, but semantics at this point.
I didn't, yeah, thank you. I didn't prepare that specifically, so I appreciate that. And I'm somebody that, I want to just show my numbers, right? I think a lot of people in our space, and especially a lot of these lead magnet or these lead companies, it's just, to me, it's like, they don't ever show you their numbers, right? They don't show you what they do, what they convert, what it looks like. So these are my stats for 2025. So every year I update the guide, right? And I send out the new one, and then I send out the old one, or excuse me, I send out the new guide to my old email list, and I start a new email list each year, right? So this is a 2025. You can see here the open rate is almost 64%. So a good open rate is like 20% or above, on that, because obviously there's going to be Gmail, Yahoo, there's deliverability issues. You're not going to get 100% probably. And then I'm getting 11% click-through rate on this is the whole sequence, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to show you the sequence here in a sec. So the guide itself has 78% open rate and almost 41% click-through rate. Then here's the key, okay? So if they come through somewhere else, because they can get this guide from other places, they're going to get the guide. It's going to have a little info about my firm, introduction. Then next, we're going to invite them to join our community. So if they don't come through the Facebook group, then they're still going to get this email and say, hey, I actually have 2 Facebook groups, one that's for beginners, one that's for retirement. So I want to make sure they know that, make sure they're in the right place, make sure they know how to use the group. So there's some information about that. And then email 3 is I'm making an offer to engage with them, to help them right away. This is by what, day 3 here, 2 days after the trigger. Okay, so yeah, by day 3. And this is where I'm going to show you this, by the way, I'm going to pull this up. This is where I invite them to help them get their finances organized, to create an asset map, to get everything on one page and have an educated conversation about where they're currently sitting today and with their financial picture. And then I hit them here with a next email. It's about navigating the emotional journey of retirement. Help them understand, I know what it's like. Here's what I think, here's the problems I think you're facing. Here's what the complaints I get and how I can help them. I drop a video here. A couple of videos actually, and then I drop another fpPathfinder guide. You can see it right here in this little cheat sheet here, and I talk about tax planning because the number one question I get these days is about tax planning. People feel really good with the S&P on honestly 10, 14 years doing great. I don't get a lot of questions about investments outside of distributions, but financial planning is something people really need help with, and that's why we're here to talk about these tools today, because these are great tools to help people with that. Okay. So what do these emails look like? Email 3, create your first asset map for free. Okay, right across the top. What are you going to get if you do this? And I just tell them, hey, can I be candid with you? Most people I know could use assistance getting their finances in order. How about you? If so, we'd like to help you create a complimentary asset map. And I tell them what it is, right? And what is a visual inventory of everything going on in our clients' lives. I have a little video here that I just use what these guys give me. So Adam's team created this for me, right? Now, if you get I think it's the Premier membership, or tell me, Adam, the name of the
It's
one.
Elite.
The Elite. Okay.
Elite, we'll make this for you and we'll brand it.
So if you get the Elite membership, they make it for you, they brand it. I like to just use what these guys offer to see how it converts. So when I go to another financial advisor and say, hey, here's what I'm doing, I didn't have this special created thing. I'm like, just go buy the thing and you could do it yourself, right? And I try things until I figure out what works and what doesn't work. But we have a little email there with the video, what they're going to get to create your first asset map. Go here, then they're going to be led to discovery. And this is one of the reasons I use asset map. Okay, and I give Adam a lot of credit, right, for his team. And I told him when we had this conversation, it sounds like I'm kissing the ring, but in reality, this just converts the best, right? I've tried the right capital leads link. I've tried other leads links. Asset map just converts the best, and I get the best information from it, right? So when you have asset map, they have a tool called discovery, and it's a link with a branded page that looks exactly like this that you can have that has your info on it, where if someone wants to engage with you, they will get to fill this out with their name and email and answer some questions, and they'll create their first asset map. So I post this thing everywhere. I put it in emails, I put it in links, I put it in follow-up sequences to start. And what I think is so powerful about asset map is it's just the way they do it's just very engaging. And when someone puts in their name and email, they get this page. And I put Jason, it says AM FPP webinar, right? So normally that'd be the last name. But when they come in, it's going to say, welcome Jason Hamilton or welcome Adam Holt. And so that automatically feels like you're delivering a customized process for this particular person. It's not just filling out a form that's kind of these random questions. You create something really nice, and it's animated. The clouds move across. This is just a screenshot here. But the whole thing is very visual. So when they come in, they get to click on what types of items that they have or members that they have, their relationships, and it's very visual. And so I really love Asset Map for that because I get the best conversion rates out of that. People fill it out. And is it perfect every time? No, but I'm going to talk about what you do. And the point is, it's not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be convenient. So it allows you to start the conversation. One thing I do that's special is Asset Map has a domain forwarding link. Okay, so what that means is after they fill it out, you can put a link to a special page that then puts in whatever you want. I put in this little video here that says, hey, thank you for scheduling your call. Here's what to expect. It's me. It shows my face. I tell them what to expect. I tell them what to prepare for, because I know this can be a very, like, I don't want to say stressful, but maybe a little bit of anxiety for people to book a call with somebody they met on the internet. And that's real, right? I understand that they're meeting me on Facebook. So I try to make the process very, very clear and very, very straightforward. So you can do that all within Asset Map, create your own page on your website, and keep it very, very simple here. Okay. I'm going to pause there before I go to the next session. Any questions or things we want to talk about here?
There's a bunch of questions that are coming up in the side chat, which I think we may have to hold till the end because Jason's on a roll. Unless,
Let's do the
Michael,
end.
you think, yeah, you want to do that?
Let's keep going over here. Just so let's just recap it quickly for people. Jason has a Facebook group. There's a couple of groups, they work together.
Mm-hmm.
There's a specific way we can get into more of that in Q&A later. When based on that, it will the work he's doing there, other people from Facebook are coming in to the group, and when they go to join the group, they're being prompted to answer 3 questions. One of them is saying, give me your email address and I'm going to send you a guide, an fpPathfinder guide. And when they put in that email address, now all of a sudden it's moved over into this email sales funnel sequence that Jason showed, where there were several different emails. They had great open rates, great click rates, and each email had like a very specific call to action, something that Jason wanted the audience to do, or something they wanted them to click on. Sometimes it was looking at an fpPathfinder guide, but what he just showed here was going through the discovery process using Asset Map. And after the client or the prospect goes through the discovery process, filling in some information, they're taken to a page where Jason has a video of himself, and that's where we're at. So that's just to kind of like try to bring it all back together where we are in this marketing process.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Jason, I'm gonna cut you off too. I think some of the things that everybody here needs to remember, because I know for some of this terminology is foreign, right? And we're going pretty fast. So really, heads off, Jason. You're doing some amazing stuff here. It just blows my mind actually how much you figured out as an advisor, becoming basically a marketing expert. The real thing that we need to remember here is that a lot of people are out there have these core questions. They have these concerns. They don't know where to start. So when you can bubble up something that's they know is of interest, like the fpPathfinder, the tax stats, I just think that's a fantastic thing to have as a resource, because we just don't know who to trust anymore, right? So I can get this really valuable, competent content from a Jason. All of a sudden, I just elevate him in my mind. If I then find out that, gosh, I can get maybe this asset map, I can look at my life differently. Maybe someone will look at my financial X-ray. Well, maybe that's encouraging to take those small, non-intimidating steps. So remember what we're trying to do. We're trying to invite people to come into our restaurant. Sometimes we need to do that in a very curated way by giving them what they probably already want. And that's the offer of the lead magnet. It's attracting people to come trust you effectively where there's no previous trust. And whether you're using Facebook or other, I think that's an important aspect here. So pay attention to what he's doing there, because that's what you can replicate.
Yeah, Adam, I love what you said about you're inviting them to your restaurant, right? So this is not like a big ask. It's free to join.
Yeah.
And you're coming in, and now they're going to look around, and you're going to see what do the decorations look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does that menu look like? And when you give a guide like that key numbers guide, you might be starting a conversation that's different than probably 80+% of other advisors, especially those big firms that just really focus on assets under management. You now open up another conversation where they say, wow, we really need to talk about some serious numbers here, because if you're a retiree, there's actually 4 tax brackets they need to be worried about, not just one. They have marginal brackets, capital gains, they have their Social Security provisional income, and they have their IRMA brackets that all become a problem once you hit around that 63 to 65 age range. So now this allows you to really show why somebody may need to engage with an advisor versus just do investments on their own, which I think a lot more people are comfortable with these days. So good. So we're going to shift a little bit here to engaging and converting, because I think people say, well, how do you do this? How do I get people on a call? How do I get people from a group to, download something or to set up a call with me? I'm going to show you some live situations. And this is just, I just did, like, it says a day ago. I literally just put this on this morning. This is from yesterday. Okay. So someone had asked a question about retirement account distributions. I answered it in there. And someone else in the group that did not ask the question, right? This is someone totally different, said, Jason, hey, you seem well versed in this. My wife and I are both over 59 and a half and inherited both regular and Roth IRAs this past year, and asked me a question about it, right? So what this allowed me to do is I engaged him and I said, hey, you know what? I have a really good guide for you. Let me just give this to you. And if you have further questions, you can just reach out to me. So I didn't sit there and put this long story about everything about IRA and Roth inherited IRA rules. I said, here's a guide for you. And I did the Roth IRA and the inherited IRA. These are 2 guides that fpPathfinder has. It took me about 30 seconds to download, right? The speed of my internet is what it took. And then I even took what Michael's team has put in there for the prompt on the guide, and I just made it to where it was like I wrote it, right? So instead of saying, the client, I just put you, right, as the person I'm speaking to, and made that the first person. And again, I'm trying to make this as easy as possible for anybody watching, that you can just do this and it should take you like minutes, not hours. And I put this guide in there. And inside of a Facebook group, you have a place where you can have files hosted that are helpful. And this shows up as a post and then a downloadable guide, which again is branded. So I put this in there for the gentleman, and then I tagged him in it. And I said, hey, take a read at this. And at the bottom here, if you can see, if you need help beyond this chart, I'm here to help. Schedule a complimentary consultation at my site here, which leads them to my calendar page. And so this allows me to provide value to the person I was engaging with. But now everybody in this group is going to see this post. And what normally happens is the people that initially ask a question or engage aren't the ones that book a call. It's the people sitting there lurking that say, hey, you know what? I actually have that problem. Let me click the link to book a call and set up the call. That's what happens probably 90+% of the time inside this group, the other thousands of people that are in there. So again, this is just right off of the guides we have. Here's another one, okay? So I posted a question. Hey, what's going on with everyone's thoughts on retirement today? Do you have any questions? It's been kind of quiet in here because my group wasn't engaging that much. So someone at the top here said, looking for someone to, or a tool to help me put together a retirement income plan. Just inherited an IRA, so RMD start next year, and they need some help. So someone here put a comment, and then here's where some of the real secret sauce comes in, is you might get other people that know you in the group that aren't even your clients. This person's not my client that made this comment, said, hey, have you consulted with Jason? So I'm not even prompting this, right? I don't ask them to do this. but they're just saying, hey, have you consulted with Jason? But if you want more of a DIY, they put another resource, which is great. That's fine. And then I engage, right? And I say, and because they tagged me, right? So now I know this post is in there. Sometimes there's hundreds of things going on at one day. I can't catch everything. But since they tagged me, I can say, hey, do you want DIY or do you want to get professional help? So what I want to do is engage the prospect and see where they're at, not just blurt out my answer or my site or anything like that. And they said they want professional help. And then someone else said here, hey, book a call with Jason. And then I said, hey, it's exactly what we do. I can pretty much guarantee my tools are better than any Excel sheet available. Make it fun, right? I put a little emoji. If you'd like to discuss, I'm happy to help put together an initial plan at no cost. And if you want help implementing, we can talk about that too. Again, very, very like soft, CTA. And then I put my site here to book a call, which goes to my calendar page, which will then lead them to an asset map and so forth, everything else that we saw, right? So I'm doing this. This takes me like 20 minutes a day. And I can handle a group of 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 plus people without too much group there or too much time there. So I wanted to go into some specific examples showing the tools, you guys. So that's what I have for this part. I think that's what it was. Yeah. So we'll come into that later. But I wanted to show your actual tools and dig in a little bit more if that's okay. And if not, we can do something else.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So again, I'm a big fan of both of these tools for many reasons. I think almost everybody here is an fpPathfinder user. So, this amount of guides here is like insane. It's almost like endless, right? So if you have this full list of guides here, my mouse will cooperate, there is just endless guides. So every single one of these guides is a lead magnet for you, or could be a lead magnet. It could be something you engage with, you offer something, you send it to your email list today. So even if you don't have a Facebook group yet, put this on your social media, just make a post on Instagram. I think everyone here has something that they're doing, and then make a post that talks about why it's important and why this guide could be useful, and then invite them to book a call. All these are right here for you. You don't have to create anything. Okay. I mean, it's like too much almost, right? It can be overwhelming, but that's great. Now, Asset Map. I want to talk a little bit how I use Asset Map, and I'm gonna pitch Adam's course here. Adam has a course where he walks you through. There's 3 levels, and I've completed the expert course and the process course, and it is just a game changer, especially if you're a newer advisor with less than like 3 years of experience. Adam says he's a recovering financial advisor of 26 years, but when I took his course, I actually was inspired to actually just become a better financial advisor. Right. And if I'm being really real with you guys, like I just was about building my business and marketing for a long time. And I love what I do, but watching Adam and watching this, him operate is kind of a master, because I was a career changer. I haven't done this for 26 years. I made it up as I've done along the way over 10 years. But his course will really help you become an expert with this tool. But one thing that I do, let me not get logged out here, is when you have a discovery lead come in, that's one thing. But if you work with a certain niche, for example, like I work with USC employees because I'm here in Southern California. And so I have a USC employee that gave me her whole benefits package. So you're able to create something called a stencil, right? So if I get somebody that's coming in from USC, when they fill out their initial paperwork, I might just send them this stencil and say, hey, just so you know, we work with a lot of USC employees. Here's some of the things that we may need to cover over time. And I'll pull this up on our call and say, hey, have you spent time actually going through and maximizing all your benefits? Because I know this is what you have available to you, right? And so that can really help you show up as an expert using one of the tools inside there. So that one I love. This one here is what I would typically get from a discovery lead coming through. So as I showed you before, all those screens that people filled out, this is what it kind of looks like when it comes in. So even if you're really busy, you can pull up about 10, 15 minutes prior to a call, pull up the discovery lead that came in, and you're going to get something that looks like this, okay? The process Adam uses is called fix and fill. So one of the first things you want to do is say, hey, what might be missing from this? And this is once you have your first kind of discovery with the client, I spend about maybe 20, 30 minutes talking to them about just their values or background situation. And then I'll ask them, hey, do you want to work on your finances? Do I have your permission to help you understand your finances a little bit better? And if they say yes, that's where I pull up this and say, hey, I prepared this for you for this call today because I really want to make sure you walk away with clarity around where you're currently at today. And did I create all this manually? No, Asset Map did it. But again, it makes you look like a professional. And so I know here almost every time there's going to be something missing like Social Security. So very simple, you can add a cash flow. We could put something here like Social Security, put it for the member, right? You can type it in here, Social Security. Okay, and then I like Adam's, what he does here is we'll put like $1 in there, right? So something like this, we'll say, hey, if it's $1 in there, we know we need to address it. So I'll fix and fill this for the client. I'll prepare other things that might need to be in there. I didn't see something around disability insurance or other things there. These look like a couple young clients. They tell me their age here. They're both 44. They're high earners. They got a little bit of term life, but not a lot. And one thing that's super powerful about this platform is it allows you to engage with multi-generation. So where I actually start here is across the top, right? And I'll say, hey, I stole this from Adam, by the way. Is there anybody else in your financial life that may be financially dependent? Maybe it's a parent you have to be thinking about or a child you have to think about, because if so, we want to add them to the map, because I do want to make sure we're talking about your whole family here, because when we operate here at Keep It Simple is we're very holistic. We want to make sure your whole family is financially sustainable if we're going to be helping you over time, right? So these are things that if they say yes, so many times people's eyebrows just go up and say, wow, no one's ever asked me about that. You can just put in there, hey, parent, right? You can put in mom, right? Or I'll say, what do you call your mom, right? And they'll say like Mama Jean or something, right? I'll put that in there, right? And I'll just say whatever it may be, their last name. How old are they? 78. Okay, great. Female. Added. Boom. So now this allows us and gives us permission to have this multi-generational conversation. So as you're looking to grow your business, sustain your business, you can add the mom, the kids, and everybody else on there, including their professionals. Really, really cool tool to do this on one page. So I'll just have that initial conversation. And another thing here we'd like to pull up is signals, right? So these signals are kind of like a stoplight where you're going to have red, yellow, and green. This one just happened to have red and green. But this will help me show the client. Adam calls them the 6 L's, right, of financial wellness: liquidity, long-term disability, loss of life, long-term care, longevity, and legal liability. This helps me walk them through and say, hey, do you have a plan for if you were to have a loss of life? Because it looks like you might not have enough term insurance. We might need to talk about that. Do you have a plan for that? Do you have a plan for what's your plan for retirement? How long are you planning to work? Because it looks like you might not be on track with this longevity being red. Again, these are not black and white. They're just conversation pieces to start, right? And if I have time, then I'll do something like this and run what we call the target map. And we'll say, hey, where are you at for retirement? And again, this takes me about 5 minutes to do. So if I have another 5 or 10 minutes, I'll pull something up like this, and I can visually show them, hey, based on your income and your need of spending, it looks like you might be about 77% of the way, but we have some work to do to get you on track. So all these things I can do with Asset Map in a matter of like 5 or 10 minutes, where again, one of these more deeper planning tools, the eMoneys of the world, the Right Capital, it's just a lot more information that I need to fill out and go through. And so that would be maybe stage 2 if we need to have a more in-depth conversation, but we may not even need to go there, by the way, if we can just address their needs today. And then when we're done, what I can do very quickly is create them a report here with all of their key information on it. So once we finish up the conversation, they're going to walk away. And this gives me the permission to follow up and say, hey, is it okay with you after our conversation today, if let's say they are ready to convert or not, if I go ahead and send you your asset map so you can at least have your financial information on one page to help you better understand your finances going forward. And so I have the custom cover they did for me as a team. We create this visual. They get a balance sheet right here, all set up. And so in a matter of 45 minutes to an hour, they've walked away with something powerful, valuable, and clarity on their situation that I just think it's hard to deliver with any of the other tools that are out there. So I think that's what I have from a process perspective and tool perspective. So I think we're right on time for questions. 10 minutes, right?
Oh, this is great. This is great.
That's amazing.
So Adam, I'm going to start just looking through questions over here. Anything come to mind?
Well, I answered a lot of questions. So for those of you that are paying
Yeah.
attention to the chat, just look at those questions that have been answered, addressed, especially on the coursework you talked about. One of the things I'm just curious to me that I got to ask this. I mean, Jason, you're saying in that first engagement, you've gotten them to engage with you, they've scheduled time with you. You're literally doing the full asset map, assuming they have done a discovery beforehand, and you're just talking about what's important to try to suss out really what their real issues are and bring ideas to the table. Because that's typically where I
Mm.
see, bringing in the FP Pathfinder guides, because you're here's what you got going on. By the way, is this an issue? I see you're taking care of what you call Grandma Jean or Mama Jean. Is she dealing with long-term care issues? You have to think about, what, I have a great guide for you with that. So you can literally layer on top of all these resources that you uncover in those early meetings from FP Pathfinder. So you're
So
just you're constantly giving. You're just like giving, 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 clarifying, giving, giving. And I think the whole key to this, everybody, I really want you to pay attention to this, is you're basically building trust at scale. And you're doing it fast, so you're not wasting a lot of time kind of messing around. I think that's really impressive.
Yeah. What stands out to me, because I talk to a lot of advisors. I'm always trying to figure out what are the best practices
Mhm.
and what advisors are really incorporating our guides into their marketing efforts or wherever it shows up in their business. And there's two camps of advisors using FP Pathfinder in their marketing. There are some where they're taking all of those guides, like Jason showed you that list. There's like 130 plus guides, and they're
Mhm.
just like dumping it onto their website. Those advisors aren't seeing success. To
Mhm.
Jason's point, it's too much when you just put it out there. It's the ones that say, I'm going to just take like one guide, maybe two, and I'm going to make a lead magnet off of that. And I'm going to drive my marketing to get
Mhm.
to this lead magnet where I'm going to provide them the prospect something of value. Jason's bringing up like a really cool nuance to it where Adam, you articulated it's just another way of doing this. It's answering a client question or a prospect question, but it's being done in a public setting. And so now
Mhm.
other folks can see this, and now they're going, wow, I understand this perspective of what's going on here. There's some issue a prospect raised or some conversation. Jason came in, put the template in, which is basically an executive summary of the guide, and then links to the guide itself. So now that prospect can really drill pretty far down if they want. And if not, they can skip over it.
Mhm.
But I think it's pretty awesome way of organizing it.
yeah, and what's interesting too is those posts live forever. So when people
Mhm.
come in, they see posts from a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. So this is not just wasted effort. We're just sending out an email and it just goes into the ether. You now have Facebook will recommend these posts to people and they can search the group for things and these posts will come back up. And so that is powerful. And actually, I wanted to talk about this as well, is there is an integration with FP Pathfinder where let's say they didn't fill it out. So I like to pull this one up and I can just engage somebody
Mhm.
from the beginning. So there's something called a stencil that is already entered. You can just have Asset Map turn it on and you can have FP Pathfinder stencil. So if you have this in here, you can click on some of these tabs here and then what it will have is it'll link to the guides that are appropriate for that particular subject. So you'll see here for the 401k, should I contribute to my Roth 401k? What issues should I consider review my investments? So I'll pull this up if I just have a blank screen with somebody who didn't fill out a discovery form and say, hey, let's talk about these a little bit here. And then I'll fill in some of their numbers once they give me those numbers as a just a starting from zero standpoint. So a lot of these have these really good guides in them. So under the housing
Yeah.
here, what should I consider when viewing property and casualty? What issue should I consider when buying a home? So very, very powerful. And you can just add these stencils in as you need to. If you right click here, there's stencils, apply stencil. There's a public library here with a bunch of stuffs in here. Um, for if you work with military, if you work with baby boomers, Gen X, traditional fact finder, my stencils that I created have an FP Pathfinder one. I have one that's set up for right capital. If I know a client's gonna be right capital because it's a pre-retirement plan, I have it all set up here. Again, this is all stuff that's all built in and templated out so that when
Mhm.
you are busy like I am,
Mhm.
it's just everything just becomes more seamless, more process oriented, and it really aligns with the FP Pathfinder philosophy of having a step-by-step guide for everything that you do.
There were some questions that came in earlier just about your Facebook group of how long did it take for you to get to however you would define like a solid number? Where did you start to see like
Yeah.
it, what do you have to aim for? How long did that take?
Yeah, so I didn't know anything that I'm telling you to do today with like how to engage, how to like do a process. So I think it could be faster than I did it, okay, by far. But when I started from zero, I had my girlfriend, now wife at the time, in the group, And I had a couple friends I asked if they would join, so it looked like I had somebody in the group. Okay, so I was sitting there marketing to like my family, right? But what I knew was if I put content in there, you build it and they will come, then people will be able to come in and they will see this eventually, right? But what I found was Facebook Live is something Facebook or Meta really loves that people do. So if you are doing live on a consistent basis, and it doesn't matter if it's once a week, once a month, once a day, if it's the same time consistently, Facebook algorithm likes that. And so it will just start sending people to your group more and more. So what I notice is when I'm more engaging in the group, the more I'm doing videos, I get a lot more, and I call them free leads because they really are free leads that Facebook sends me. So the first 6 months or so was a really kind of a tough buildup. You know, everybody on my email list I would invite. I would do webinars, and then from the webinar, I'd invite people through the sequence to join the group after, right? So it was a really like guerrilla marketing thing to get started. But after about 6 months or so, I started seeing maybe 500 or 1,000 people in there. And after a year, I hit around 3,000 or 4,000. And that's when I started to see like really consistent calls coming in. And after 2.5 years, there were weeks that I would get 15 to 20 prospect calls at one time. I just couldn't even handle it. So I had to hire, you know, and I broke all my systems. And was like, I just had a lot of learning lessons during that time that put my firm on pause because I just wasn't ready for that level of scale. And I'm just being really real with everybody here. I was a career changer. I worked in corporations. They have all the systems for you. So I've had to build these things out over time. So I would say, you know, plan 6 months to a year of consistent, but who cares? What else are you doing anyways that's working today? Probably not much. And if you have a little bit of money, you can put behind this because you have some savings. You can actually run ads to webinars or run ads to your group. I used to get leads to my group for around 66 cents. Okay, this was in my heyday because I had the funnel really, really optimized. So I did pay to get leads in. They started at $3 or $4, and through optimization, targeting different things, I got it down to 66 cents a lead. These days, it might be more like $3, $5, $7. But that's kind of like normal when you have someone, if you want to run an ad, have them download a guide for you. But you're bringing them into a private group. So even if you pay $5, $7 a lead, I think that's still a good value. So if you want to accelerate the process, you can run an advertisement to a landing page, which then invites them to your group, or you know, give them a guide of some sort of the fpPathfinder guide, and then that second email, invite them to group like I did in that sequence I showed you.
I think there's a couple things here that I'm like trying to be empathetic to those of you that are listening and saying, "Oh my gosh, how do I actually implement this?" Right? Because we can tell you what you could do, what you should do, and then you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get overwhelmed because I don't know where to start." The reality is that there's an enormous amount of content out there. If you know, like anything, you want to learn it, you got to be a student of it. So I really encourage everybody to replay this webinar, which will be recorded. It is recorded, sorry, and to listen to it again. And if it's not your bailiwick, you need to find somebody on your team or get a virtual assistant or an assistant. You have to start thinking of, you don't have to, you should start thinking about how this is going to affect your practice. One of the things that I came across recently was some statistics around certain millennial adoption and how influential thought leadership is. And what it indicated is as much as 80% of their knowledge is about finance is coming from thought leadership that they're seeing on social media. That is something like 9% for the boomers. So if you're typically working with the boomers where the money has been for so long, that we understand that like this is not in the same way going to be as influential. What's really important is that our boomer clients, they're bringing in their millennial and X generation kids to help them make financial decisions. And if you are not credible, like they can't find you on social or in Google, or it's begging the question, do you really exist and are you really an influencer? Because they've got 100 other options. So here's the key. The way you start building this social preeminence is by offering value, by being present on some of the things. I don't think 90% of you are going to go start your own Facebook group. What I do think is that you're going to start having a social presence that's giving away relevant content that fpPathfinder is clearly already designed to let you do in a branded way. And I really, if you're not doing that, I'm letting you know thousands of advisors are going to do it. Okay. So why not you? So I think start small, do something, not nothing, and bring in the right people that are going to help support your practice, whether it's this landing page. What is a landing page? You got to learn this stuff. What is a sequence? How does my CRM help me? Call them up, ask for support, but be intentional about this stuff. Our Asset Map and fpPathfinder are positioned to help you win. You got to use what's available to you if you really want to take it to the next level.
That's awesome, Adam. Look, so we're wrapping up over here. Jason, any closing comments? Any resources that you'd recommend folks if they want to drill into this more?
Yeah, I'd like to share just a slide that has all our stuff on it that people can
Okay.
grab, and then we'll send this out after as well. Is this coming through okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to learn more, I do have it's a free Facebook group that you can join for financial advisors. I don't have anything to sell at this point, maybe someday in the future, I don't know, but I just kind of do a monthly workshop, monthly Zoom call, Q&A, and then I answer questions in there. So tomorrow I'm going to do a Q&A because I did another workshop a couple weeks ago in this one. And so if you want to come in and chat, we'll do a Zoom call and talk. You can join that. My LinkedIn's right here. And then the links for fpPathfinder, Asset Map, and Group Funnels will all be here as well. So I take a screenshot of this, or we'll send out the guide with the email follow-up.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. If you have questions about fpPathfinder, you can reach out to us at support@fpPathfinder.com. And Adam, where should folks go to learn more about?
Yeah, absolutely. You can
AssetMap?
certainly go to assetmap.com and get your demo, or email also support@assetmap.com. Remember, the hyphen is in there for asset-map.
Awesome. Great. And Jason, thank you so much for
Yeah.
spending so much time and
Great
showing everybody what you're doing here. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, way to give back. We really appreciate
I
that.
fully feel grateful for you inviting me, and with these tools make my life so much easier. So I'm always happy to give back and help you guys out too. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Cheers. Cheers,
Wonderful.
everybody. Have a great day.
All right.
Have a great
Bye,
day.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.